you fail to understand, then the same incredible terror that's menacing me will strike at you!
Hey guys, excuse me. Thanks for stopping by on this beautiful end of the year, last day of the year. I just wanted to take a little break from recording my audiobook. You can see I'm still here in the blanket fort, trying to make that happen. Let me just check something out here. Yeah, let me know if everything okay with my audio. I'm messing around with it because I've been in here doing the audiobook, and I also kind of reframed my camera to get a little more intimate inside the sound for it. But anyway, the recording is going good, a little slower than I mentioned. I was doing some straightening in my office, and I came across this brochure. It was the last piece of mail that I got from the Church of Scientology. Now, people talk about how difficult it is to get off a Scientology mailing list, and I can tell you, it is a little bit like herpes, and that you may never be able to get rid of it. But I'm telling you, if you start a channel on YouTube and speak out, and you write a book about your experiences working for the church, they're going to stop sending you mail, because they definitely don't send me mail anymore. But anyway, before I do that, I just want to say hi to who's here. So Vegan 3 is here, and Vegan 3 said, let's just get these out of the way right now. He said, yep, they clearly don't get treated the way we did, referring to these ultra rich in Scientology who are basically paying. They're basically footing the bill for David Miscavige. I knew one rich lady that was in, and the Reg sent me over to borrow money from her. I think she threatened me with being declared if I asked again. That's just really such a supportive thing. Anyway, thanks for that. Let me see. We've got Barb Try says they forced you to borrow money from the whale. Apparently that's the deal. Yeah, Scientologists, they do this. They're sort of a little money lending community. I know when I was I used to occasionally have people say, hey, can I put something on your credit card? I'll pay you back. Sometimes they pay you back. Sometimes they wouldn't. Excuse me. I'm sounding a little hoarse, which is I took a break from recording. Vegan 3 says they had me calling my gutter bum father. Okay. That I hadn't even seen in 10 years. I barely met him, but a few times. Oh yeah. Like when it comes to engaging with with their members to sort of inspire them to borrow money, there's really kind of no end to it. I mean, I can remember a Reg coming to me and trying to get me to give them an outrageous amount of money for the International Association of Scientologists. And I was so aghast at the amount of money that they were trying to give for me that I said, geez, I'd have to mortgage my house. Like I was saying, like who the hell would do that? My view was, well, that would threaten my survival. And she just didn't miss a beat. And she said, well, yeah, let's talk about that. Let's talk about you mortgaging your house. So yeah, they're pretty, yeah, exact. Yeah. So, Barb Shy says, geez, I'm glad you got out. Yeah, I am too. I wish I would have gotten out a lot sooner. Kind of, the level of regret that you have is in direct proportion to how you're doing at the time when you leave. If you leave and your career is behind you, you completely wasted it, and you're full of regret. If you have enough time, enough security ahead of you, you probably won't be regretting too much. George Smiley says, hey, Mitch. Hey, George. I don't recognize you, but I'm really glad you're here. I hope you're subscribed. And those of you who aren't subscribed, thank you very much for subscribing to YouTube. I hear has been unsubscribing people. Okay, Love Food Kitchen says, it is 20:24 in 2 hours in Europe. Keep this going for 120 minutes. And I can say I saw in 2024 with Scientology leader turned German TV star Mitch Brisker. Okay. I was never really a leader. I just kind of, the press liked doing that. So I've been called a boss, a leader, an aide, a right-hand man. It's just, it's what the press does. But yeah, so listen, I can't keep this going for 120 minutes, but I'll try to get back before I have another thing I want to do on psychiatry. So I'll get back before the 120 minutes is up. I'm pretty sure about that. So learning about life says good afternoon. And then we've got Marilyn says, nice bunker. Yeah, it is. This is where I'm gonna spend the zombie apocalypse. I'm gonna barricade myself in here. Thanks a lot. Learning about life. I appreciate that. So yeah, I think we should get yeah, listen, George Smiley said, I'm just terrible at catching you live. Yeah, I'm terrible too. I mean, I've got a couple of mods. I forgot to inform them I'm going live. I kind of schedule it and then I scramble to get it going. And it's just like, I'm terrible about doing live. So don't feel bad about being terrible about catching them. Okay, let's get started here. I tried to, I'm going to try to load this brochure again. If I can't, I'll just have to screen share it. Let's see, it's loading now. For some reason, it's giving me some error. It's just some crazy, stupid, what do you call it? StreamYard BS. So, hey, I widened up my camera. I brought it in a little closer. So I'm not totally thrilled with it. No, I'm going to have to screen share it because I don't, this angle is a little crisper. You see everything, and I think it makes me look older. I mean, I'm 106 already, so it's kind of like, okay, so here it is. Let me just screen share this thing. So I've talked about this before, the fact that David Miscavige is operating very much in the mold of Brigham Young. He's trying to do what for Scientology, what Brigham Young did for Mormonism, which was just to drive a bunch of people to Florida to a city and then get so dug in there they'll never be able to get rid of you. And that was Brigham Young's whole plan. He did that with Salt Lake City, and now Miscavige is doing that with Clearwater. And so one of his big programs that he wants to do with Clearwater is he wants to build this L. Ron Hubbard Hall. Let me just find this thing. Here it is here. Let me just share this. There you go. I think you guys can all see this. So this is the cover of this wonderful piece of mail that they sent me. I don't have pictures of the hall. It's pretty spectacular. They're building this big, multi-thousand seat. It's a symphony hall with like catering and perfect acoustics, multi-use. And then of course they'll use it for all their international events. And then they will make it available to the public in Clearwater. So this is really an important thing to them. And so of course to pay for it, they have more than enough money to pay for this thing. But what they do is they start this very elite clique. These are members. What are they? They're members of the members of the L. Ron Hubbard Hall, whatever it is some kind of club. And you'll see it says brought to you by the Church of Scientology Religious Trust. That's a nonprofit DBA for the Church of Scientology that is just there to raise money to pay for buildings. That's all that is. So what they did was they put together this expedition to Sicily. It's just like a junket, like an expensive tour, like a church tour. They took these people. I don't know how many people were there. I didn't count them. There's maybe 50 or so. This is probably half to a third of the actual super ultra rich, but this is a very special clique of people that pay a lot of money to go to this thing and maintain the status. Here's a little separate shot of them waving at the camera. I think they're waving their wallets, their credit cards. Yeah, if you look close, they're all waving credit cards. And here they are getting this wonderful tour. So the thing you have to understand at this level, like there's these different levels that people experience Scientology. The ultra rich, they experience it as sort of the $1 million key club members who are sort of swathed in this warm, moist blanket of security and elitism, where they have no idea about the abuses that go on in the church. They think Sea Org members are just dedicated and willing to the work. The least they can do is give millions if some poor slob is going to join the Sea Org for 1 billion years and make like no money and get worked to death. They think they're just really dedicated. Of course, they don't mind accepting any amount of help from them. So here, these are just, I just wanted to put up a few pictures just to show you, so you could really get a look at the elitist snobs in Scientology who are essentially paying the bill. I mean, these guys have each individually given millions and millions of dollars. I would say probably the smallest donor on here was probably $10 million. Uh, and they're essentially paying the bill. This is like who props up Scientology. You got to remember, when you're talking tax-free dollars, it's a lot more money. It's like the Church of Scientology can go on for a long time. Now, if you're not there, oh yeah, here's Bob Duggan. Now this is really interesting. This is billionaire Bob. Billionaire Bob. This is Scientology's richest donor. He, first of all, you got to understand, Bob Duggan is probably not a Scientologist anymore. That's just like, he's not going to talk about that, but he divorced his wife Trish. She is considered Scientology's wealthiest donor. She's credited as having given $300 million. And but they got divorced. Bob married his business partner, who's not a Scientologist. You never see him at events. He doesn't interact with the church at all. But his wife and his sons are extremely active. They're hardcore, and they're the ones that get the big trophies and stuff, not Bob. But they still have to put Bob in here because he's such a big donor, and so they've got to like give the public something. The other rich elitist clique members, they have to give them something to shoot for, so they give them Bob. Now notice Bob got his own page, and he's not in any of these other pictures. So he was obviously not even on this trip to Italy, because he's not. Why would he go? He's not even a Scientologist anymore. So but that's, if you have enough money, you can even sort of leave Scientology and it won't be a stink. It's like there's there's a certain level of privilege that comes with either celebrity or wealth. Like this, just as an aside, this woman that married Hulk Hogan, Sky Daly, she's from a Scientology family. She's, an OT, and she recently announced, it was in the news that she got baptized. That in Scientology is the same as saying, look, I've left Scientology, which is considered a suppressive act and something that you could be declared an SP, but they're not going to touch her. Well, for one thing, I defend her right to go get baptized. People should be able to do whatever they want. I mean, believe in whatever they want, perform their religious rituals, but they're never going to mess with her because Hulk Hogan is the most important local celebrity in Clearwater, and they're trying to get dug into Clearwater. So why the heck would they ever want to, pick some kind of bone with his new wife? So anyway, it's important to understand that. So that's the deal. And so if you guys have of course, I want to get here. Let me just get this thing out of here. There you go. Here we are back in the bunker. Yeah, so here's my other, I've got this, I'm recording on a different mic, and I'm recording on a different computer. This thing is like all set up, and I can't do more than an hour without having to take a break. I wish I could. Okay. Anyway, I'm going to go through and I want to pick up some of your comments. Oh, cool. So Barb Shy says she got the notification on Discord, so I'm here. I don't spend a lot of time in the Discord. I found it really complicated. I used to use it for gaming in a very limited way, but I have trouble finding my way around there. So if any of you want to write me, want to email me, and give me some tips and so forth, that would be good. I would love to interact with you all on that. This is Free Zone Bonefire says, Happy New Year from Bob Duggan's Yacht. What are you doing on there, by the way? We want photos. We want a full report from New Year's on Duggan's Yacht. Brigham Young had more fun than COB. Probably because he had 60 wives, and David Miscavige has one paramour he pretends is assistant. So that doesn't sound like a lot of fun. But I think David Miscavige gets to drink more. Oh, Carolyn, how do you say this, Sarah? Carolyn Werestica says, Happy New Year's from Australia. On my bucket list to get down there. Learning About Life says, you look like Dan Rather doing a preview for the evening news. Very important. I've never gotten Dan Rather before. I couldn't even attempt to do a Dan Rather. Vegan 3 says, I went away and came back. Yeah, finally. They stopped calling and mailing. And then when they see me online, yeah, I think they'll do that. I mean, I literally do not get mail anymore. I don't get it at my house. I don't get it at my mailing address, at the UPS store. I did get a call from the Ohio, the Ideal Oregon, Ohio. They were trying to recruit me for the Sea Org. I called them back. I told them, never mind what I told them. I was hoping I could get I could sort of troll them into getting a content phone call, but it didn't even work because they were not even smart enough to pull that off. Anyway, I'm just clicking on these. I don't know what they say. I don't know if any of my mods are here because I keep forgetting to tell them because I'm not a good. I'm not. It's not my thing. Maybe I'll get good at it someday. Okay, so hold on. Here we go. Love Food Kitchen says everyone in Scientology YouTube is doing Europe-friendly lives at the moment, which is great. For a while, everything was starting at 3 a.m., making it possible to catch them live. Oh yeah, ever since I blew up a bit in Germany and started selling more books, I'm going to do I'm going to try to do everything like noon LA time, between noon and 3, so that it's convenient for EU, which is absolutely, we need to be talking to them more. I mean, they're like, Europeans are so ahead of the curve on how bad Scientology is. Yeah, exactly. Wow, the positioning. This is Hans Christian Schwartz says, "Wow, the positioning themselves against Greek ruins." Yeah, they also did a thing. I didn't really get into it, but Hubbard did this mission into time, where supposedly in the '60s, when he was running the flotilla in the Mediterranean, multiple ships, he took one of those ships and they went on this expedition, and somehow he convinced people that he was finding evidence of his own past lives. It's kind of like the way, like a psychic says, are you worried about something? I see you're worried about something. It's a man. No, it's a woman. Oh, it's a woman. They kind of do all these leading questions. It was a very phony deal. So they did one of these sort of mission in a time things where they kind of pretended they were on some kind of expedition, and they were looking into the reality of past existence. It was pretty crazy. Bone phone. I don't know what this means. Sagesta? Sagesta. I don't know what that means. Please clarify. Uh, okay, Bone phone says, Trish, Doug, and Sky Daily, if either of you are watching, I can clear your active mind. Ask Mitch for my email. Yeah, you can reach out to me, but yeah. Yeah, I mean, she doesn't need her reactive mind cleared. She's baptized, which means she's accepted Jesus as her eternal savior, which I think that ranks above having your mind clear, your reactive mind clear. So Love Food Kitchen, Trish is still handing over the millions, but do we think Bob has turned off the tap? Might be how he can leave easily. He's done a deal to keep donating something at least. Yeah, that's right. He set up, I think before he left his wife, uh, he set up like a trust where he took some millions of dollars of worth of stock in his his biotech company, and he put it into a trust for Scientology, and then that trust generates about $1 million a year in donations. So he kind of set that up, made sure Trish was all set up, the kids were all set up. Then he just bailed, and he's a really good example of the hypocrisy that's afforded people by virtue of their celebrity and their wealth, or both. Okay, thanks for that, Leslie Bishop. So it looks and sounds great. Yeah, I gave up on the flexible arm, and I've gone with just a pro tip. I prefer because I know some people are really obsessed with equipment, but because I'm using one of these arms on my mic for recording the book, I didn't want to be sharing one mic device between two mics for two different purposes. So I went and I got an arm and an adapter to put on one of my light stands, a boom arm, and I actually prefer it because you don't mess with the mic, you just set it and forget it when you have a boom. Yeah, I know this is really a real tragedy. Carolyn um, where Stika says, imagine how much that money would help real charities people in need. Yeah, it's really amazing. You know, say what you want about, let's say, the Catholic Church. I know David Miscavige can't stand Catholics. I know that because he personally told me. We were talking about a film I was making called Confessional Tiaras, which Hubbard had written, that has your sort of standard Catholic construct, angel and devil. And I had was wanting to kind of change that a little, shift it, and he said, no, 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 no. Hubbard, he wrote this because he was kind of making fun of the Catholics. He said, well, but we don't have anything against, this is a quote from David Miscavige, we don't have anything against other religions, well, except the Catholics. So, but say what you will about the Catholics, they provide 25% of all of the health care on the entire planet Earth is provided by Catholic organizations. And there's a lot of organizations that Catholic and otherwise, that do a lot of charity work, and Scientology does nothing. They even have a policy. It's a thing called the Scientology Free School, which is supposed to be for people without money, where they bring in people and they give them free services like auditing. It's done by the students, right? And they don't run that thing anymore. They haven't run that. They haven't run that in years, so they're just not interested. But yeah, that money would do a lot. Think about how many homeless people they could house, or how houseless people that, excuse me, they could house if they just opened up some of these ideal orgs. I mean, they've got millions of square foot that's just with a few staff members loitering in the place. Uh, so yeah, it's really a shame. Yes, Brigham Young had more power. This is true. When Young was running the Mormon Church, they had, a lot of people don't know this, they had the largest standing army in America. Until the Civil War, the biggest army was run by the Mormon Church. So yeah, he had a lot of power. And he was one of the wealthiest men in America. And he too didn't spend it on helping people. He just amassed a fortune so that he could essentially make sure the Mormon Church would never go away, and he pulled it off. And I think David Miscavige is very inspired by that, and I've spoken about that. He mentioned to me how many times references to the Mormon Church, not the religion, the actual church. And I have pictures somewhere, I'll try to find them, when we were setting up Scientology Media Productions. Okay, hold on, that's a little annoying. When we were setting up Scientology Media Productions, he sent a bunch of us up to BYU TV up in Provo, Utah, just to see what the Mormons were doing. So yeah, he's jealous as hell of how the Mormon whole thing is set up. They have many Bob Duggans. The Mormons have many billionaires. They have one billionaire who went to them. One Mormon billionaire went to them. They told me this when I was at the TV station. They have a massive coverage in South America and Latin America, all of Latin America, massive coverage of television broadcast. And they had one Mormon billionaire come to them and say, if they would start covering Latin America, he would pay for it. So they got one guy just paying for that. So they have a lot of very wealthy people. Hey, Buddha 29 says, happy almost New Year. Yeah, I'm kind of excited. I hope you guys, I don't know. I always try to do something special for New Year's Day dinner. Usually, kind of a tradition, we would do live lobsters. This year, I'm going to do Irish stew. I don't know why. I just decided to change it. This Pete Jensen says, "Hey y'all, Happy New Year." I imagine that it's either getting really close to New Year for some of you people, or maybe it's already the next year. Carolyn Wirasika says, my husband is Balinese and you pronounced it correctly. Oh, thank you. Wirasika, great to know that I lucky guess. Buddha 29 says, I am ready. I think reading Janice's book now. Very excited. Yeah, Janice's book, Janice Grady, her book is, I've not read the second one, but I really enjoyed her book. She has great stories. Okay, how's the audiobook coming along? Well, if it was coming along better, I would be telling you it's done, or I wouldn't be streaming in the middle of my audiobook. It's coming along really well. It took a while. It's starting to pick up speed. I'm hoping within a couple of weeks it'll be done. We can edit it really quick and get it up. Yeah, it's technically it's challenging to do it. I have a space and I'm set up technically to do it. So it's now just a matter of getting a performance that I'm happy with. I'm very self-critical about my audio, my sound quality, my performance, how my voice sounds. I recently had some oral surgery, and that's kind of messed with my mouth sonically a little bit. So but it's coming along, and I think it's going to be really good. And I've gotten some fantastic feedback on the book. I would read some of the Amazon reviews to you, but I think I would sound like I was so bragging. But I'm super happy the kind of response that people have had who have left reviews. But maybe I'll put them together and I'll read them. Maybe tonight for New Year's, I'll just get drunk and read my reviews, and it'll just sound like, yep, that's right. Okay, here we go. What is this? Vegan 3 says, I was convinced I did violate the policy that says you can't join the SO. Now that I see it again, I don't think but I think you did. What? I was convinced I did violate the policy that says you can't join the SO. I wish I knew what you meant by that, because I didn't violate it because I never joined the SO. I was never even asked to join. And I thought people who joined the SO were a little slightly misguided. I actually was, when I was really hardcore in Scientology and working for Golden Air Productions, Scientology, blah, 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 working for the church, doing all that stuff, I thought if people really wanted Dianetics and Scientology, you wouldn't need a Sea Org. If you look at the companies, whether they're Apple Computers or Google or whatever they are, Tesla, BMW, whatever they are, the great companies, people really want their products. They have wealthy companies, they pay their people well. And Hubbard always said people want Dianetics Scientology. The fact that the only way they can run it is off the backs of ultra wealthy donators and people working for nothing is a proof that people don't actually want it. But I used to think, they should just dump the Sea Org and start paying people and run the thing like an organization and push their products the way an organization would, because, I thought they were good products. But the thing is, they're not. That will never work. Okay, so Bone Phone, I'm just going to call you Bone Phone, dude. Scientology funded by Big Pharma in 2023. Yeah, I think so. We're going to talk about that later. I have another stream I'm doing later on Scientology's viewpoint on psychiatry. I'm going to show a 6-minute film I did for the television network, the Scientology television network, which is based on an article an essay that Hubbard wrote probably in the, I don't know when he wrote it, maybe the 70s. It's called Crime and Psychiatry. I'm going to break it down. I was going to do a reaction video to it. I'm just going to show it. We're going to talk about it. I haven't scheduled it yet. It'll be in a couple of hours. But I'm hoping you'll all show up for it. Vegan 3 says, my internet is awful, so I'm way behind here and not sure of the dates. Grant Cardone and Bob Duggan have some really lame content on YouTube. I think Fishback is one of the Duggan partners too. Yeah, that could be. I don't know who Grant Cardone is involved in. I don't think he really has partners. I think his only partner is his wife, and I don't know who Fishback's involved with. But it could be, because I know Fishback is trying. For those of you who may not know, he's talking about one of the 2 surviving Fishback brothers who are very big investors. Okay, enough of that. At that time, that was so ridiculous. I have no idea what makes that. Is that this balloons? Is this balloons? I know this is the thumbs up. Anyway, I'm gonna have to look into that. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah. So Barb Try says, IRC. Duggan's money came from pharmaceuticals. Yeah. No, yeah. So I guess in that sense, Scientology is funded by a lot of the money comes from pharmaceuticals. Yeah, but it was not like it was a cancer treatment that he very smartly got a hold of and developed and then launched, and that's a great way to make money. I think he initially sold it for $3 billion and then sort of took off from there. Bob Duggan is a very good businessman, but yeah, he I would say it came from biotech, not pharmaceuticals. Although, when we say pharmaceuticals, we usually mean drugs that like affect the mind. But there are obviously a lot of good drugs. Uh, and so Vegan 3 says, yes, Barb, you got it. Yep, that's right. Okay, so Miss Amber Sunshine, hello, Miss Amber Sunshine. Hello, Mitch, you're a little late. Good to see you. Good to see you too. And my dear friend, Selena's here, all the way from, Cardiff, Wales. And here we've got Vegan 3 says the Mormons only tie the percentage of their income, though it would be a sliding scale. The cult wants the same from everybody based on a wealthy income. Yeah, they basically want all the money you have because their mission is much more important than your mission. Whatever your own personal mission is, if you're putting that ahead of what the church's mission is, you are what they call PTS to the middle class. So what else do we have here? I think TM is Barb Chai says, I think TM is following the Mormon model of getting rich in real estate. Partly, yeah. I mean, they open a lot of churches. They do get that money. They don't really have their parishioners donate directly to the church funds, building funds the way Scientology does, but they do take money in and then they do build new churches. Yeah, they're pretty amazing at the real estate game. Selena Quamore, that's Welsh. I always have troubles pronouncing her name. But just drop by to hit the like button. But the countdown to New Year's is on, so I'm going to dip in and spend it with fam. Yes, if you guys are back, whoever's doing the countdown, go do it, and then just come back later because I'm going to be doing some other stuff. Love Food Kitchen says, aren't the Mormons the ones with literally hundreds of billions in real estate? Sounds like the inspiration for Miscavige's obsession with bricks and mortar. I think he is inspired by how the Mormon church is organized more than most people realize. I've spoken about this. I'm going to do some more content on it. Over the years, he spoke to me about it. It first started with marketing and audiovisual stuff because the Mormon church is very invested in using audiovisual technology to both proselytize and both to keep their members engaged. And this is was a huge thing. Hubbard had suggested it as early as 1963 using films, but Miscavige has just done it next level. Like everything in Scientology in terms of proselytizing and training is all done with audiovisual stuff. So yeah, he's big time. But I think the thing that he's the most inspired about is the way the Mormons keep their members engaged. Mormonism is a secular religion, meaning they don't have a separate, like a Sea Org. It's run by the parishioners. And Scientology was traditionally run by staff and Sea Org, and then the public would come in and do their thing. But in Mormonism, everybody except the elders, the guys at the top, who were, fully on full time, all of the bishops and all of the other people, the leaders of the religion, they're all organized down into local, what do they call their parishes, their wards, their stakes, and all of those people are part of the Mormon organization. And Miscavige very much wants every Scientologist to be part of the Scientology organization. So he started this thing called OT committees, and they're their basic focus is in raising money for buildings. And the OT committee members are like, they're like a stake, what they call a stake in Mormonism. And then the OT committee chairman are like the bishops. They would be the equivalent of a bishop in Mormonism. Some guy says, "Oh yeah, I'm head of the OT committee." Well, he's the local bishop. It's very much like Mormonism. Let me see, what do we got here? Yeah, so yeah, Free Zone Bone Phone says Dave's epitaph could say, "At least I wasn't Warren Jeffs." So yeah, I'm sure Warren Jeffs would be insulted by that comment. Here's one for vegan. Aaron is jetting your way today. Hope he stayed out of trouble. Ha ha. I'm sure a female is involved. Well, we're not going to go there, but I don't think Aaron's going to be calling me for drinks, although he has in the past. But I think we're doing our own thing. Yeah, I wish him well, and I'm sure you're allowed to get in a little bit of trouble on New Year's Eve. So I'll be what do you call it? Ringing in the new year at the same time as Aaron. That'll be nice. At least we can agree on the moment when midnight strikes. Now, I agree with him on a lot of things. It's just for some reason it's we've had a difficult past, but hopefully this coming year that will no longer be an issue. Okay, see you next year, folks. You bet. Vegan 3. Aaron is, whoops, that's that one. I got to get rid of that. So this one says, see you next year, folks. See you, Selena. We'll talk soon. This is Pegasus 223. Mormons push marriage and children to increase their flock. DM hates that. No long-term vision. Yeah, that's a point. People bring that up occasionally, like, why is, Scientology is so sex negative. Like, if they're literally like, well, no, you shouldn't get pregnant because you need to finish 7, or you realize if you're pregnant, you can audit. They have a rule, like if you can only accept auditing up to a certain month of your pregnancy. I think it's probably by the time you hit your 3rd trimester, they're like, no more auditing, because they think it will could have a negative effect on your unborn child. Going broke and giving all your money to a cult that basically steals your identity is bad for your unborn child. Okay, here we go. Here's one from Nisa. Hi, Nisa. I don't recognize your name, but thank you very much for subscribing and hitting the notification bell. Are any of the wealth donors aware that Miscavige is taking all of the donated money and not really giving it to any of it to the organization that he has claimed that he is donating, that he is claiming he's donating it to? Well, look, you're just being a suppressive person who's just buying into all what they call the black PR, all of the lies that are out there. Of course, it doesn't matter if they've heard it or not. They would never believe it. It's just stuff that's just said to impugn the church. That's all it is. Happy New Year, Selena from Barb Tries. Oh, yeah, here we go. Here's one from Nasty Nathaniel. Mitch Brisker, you are a fascinating man. Yeah, apparently I'm in this club of people that you think are fascinating, because I see you saying that on all the channels, and I don't think you're insincere, but let's work on having a different buzz phrase for each of us, okay? Like one of us can be a rock star, one of us can be interesting, one of us could be brilliant, one of us could be a genius. Okay. Here we go here. Oh, I don't know what that means, so I'm going to disregard it. We got any extra questions here? Yeah, here you go. Miss Amber Sunshine says, "Oh my God, yes," or surgery does mess with your mouth and your ability to speak and enunciate clearly sometimes. Take your time. We'll be patient with your audiobook. Contacting Audible Books disappeared. Contacting Audible Books disappeared. Oh, I guess they don't have any more way of contacting them. But I've been very careful to make sure that along the way of recording, I am complying with the technical specifications that they demand, that the to create a book. Hey, Leslie Bishop said, I'll be waiting to see the psych video later, Mitch. Yeah, this is, it's something I'm passionate about, and I hope you all, thanks. We'll see you then. I think I'm going to do it around, I don't know, 4 or 5 LA time, something like that. This says, Vegan3 says, well, more than 5 years, I think that marriage died before. Okay. Not sure what that is. I don't read these. I just put them up there. And you guys aren't really making questions. And I love a lot of your comments. I want to put them up there. Okay. You think it's the word feshback? Feshback. Okay. George Smiley says the word feshback triggers balloons. Let's try it. Feshback. Nope. I think you need like a thing, there. That's, I know fireworks is that a thumbs up. I can do that later. Happy New Year. Hey, Kim White. Hey, everyone. I just caught up at fast speed. Okay, good. Here we go. So let's check this out. Vegan3 says, George, my hotspot sucks. Did Mitch make balloons? Yeah, I did. I made balloons. This is from Nasty Nathaniel and Mitch Brisker, Santa Maria, California. He's in the house. Love your work. Hey, thanks, Nathaniel. Appreciate that. There's the inappropriate heifer is here. Hiya, Mitch, catching up at 2 times speed. Yeah, so I was Vegan3 says, yeah, I was right, I guess, about the pregnancy thing. It was some offshoot of embryo stuff. And Kim White, hey, Hyph. That's for you, heifer. Hi, Kim. I'm just gonna read your comments now. I'm just gonna get lazy. At Christian B, I come from Tommy's boat as well. Oh, nice. Tommy's a really interesting guy. I'd like to talk to him sometime. He and I were both drug addicts at one time. I never spent time in prison, although I did a couple times. I did overnight in county jail. It was an interesting story, but that was a long time ago. But I would like to talk to him at some point. So who knows? Maybe he'll reach out to me. He knows I'm here. Love Maddie, love food. Yes, little DM wants the billions and billions of the huge following that the Mormons have. Absolutely. He's like super jealous of the Mormons. I mean, come on, they went through far worse than he's ever gone through. I mean, they were shooting Mormons back in 1840. Oh yeah, okay, yeah. I saw this. Here, let me just back up here. Stana rhymes with Donna. How many of the donors are actually true believers, or is it possible they relish being religious philanthropists? Unlike donors in large religions, they are a big fish in a small pond. Yeah, they are a big fish in a small pond. There's a very good chance some of them are, they're what do you call it? They're altruistic narcissists. They want to be seen as doing good things, but I think they really are true believers. I think they've been love bombed into believing it because there's a pretty big being part of that clique, because I've hung out with that clique. I know a lot of those people, and it's a real endorphin triggering kind of warmth and coziness. There's a real sense of community, which is basic to the human nature, and there's a real sense of structure that everybody needs. And there's a belief, a lot of them believe that their success comes from their engagement with Scientology. So I think for the most part, they are some of the most true believers. Yeah, the story. Yeah, this is from Augustine in the forum. Scientology billionaire Bob Duggan paid $500 million to a Chinese farmer. Yeah, I read about this story. I'm not totally understand it. And this is King White. Hey, I like Aaron. We need his loud voice and speaking out against us. Yeah, nothing against Aaron. I like Aaron too. We don't necessarily. I mean, I agree with him. We have a love-hate relationship. I love him. He hates me. I don't know why. Something about that. I was never in this year, but Aaron's a really good guy, and I wish him well. And I got really pissed off. I overreacted to something he said, and I really shouldn't have, and it was my fault. And then I talk some trash about him, about, body shaming and making homophobic remarks and stuff like that. But whatever, man, we all do shit. It's like if I was that active on YouTube, I'm sure you'd see a lot of my less than lovable side too. So happy New Year's, Aaron. I wish you well. I hope everything goes well for you in the new year. Uh, Tina, the last 20 said Aaron will be in California today. Yeah, I don't know anything about that. I know when he was here last May, I know before he left town, I was not able to make it, but I know he called me. He was with Laura and some other people down at the Roosevelt. So unfortunately, I wasn't able to get down there and meet him. But if he wants to give me a call while he's in LA this time, I'd love to see you in person, Aaron. There's definitely no hard feelings for me about any of that ridiculous stuff. This is Stana says maybe they relish tax write-offs. Well, that is a point. I mean, it is. They're these guys had a lot of money, and they need to get rid of some of it because the government's just going to take it. So it is helpful for them. I mean, it's the whole reason why the being recognized as a tax deductible organization works so well for Scientology. Is that it helps these guys. We all get mail at the end of the year. I used to get it, and there's a picture of Uncle Sam on it, and it basically says, like, get Uncle Sam to help you pay for the bridge. It's really ridiculous. Who's this? Vegan 3 boarded Oakland. And this one story says he was raised in San Jose, but another story says he went to school in Mountain View. Is that Bob Duggan? I don't know who that is. I was born in Oakland. We lived in San Francisco when I was a kid. So I'm not sure who we're talking about. Tina in the last 20 says, Happy New Year. I think it just became 2024 where she lives. I think she's in the UK, right? Okay, so we're getting a whole Bob Duggan story. Oh, thanks, inappropriate heifer. By the way, Mitch, I do love the way your set looks right now. I've kind of cluttered it up a little bit. I put an old film reel back. It's a projection reel back there. And I put a copy of my book. Yeah, Maria Monroe said, yeah, Mitch, no one likes to hear their own voice on a recorder, so let someone else judge. Yeah, the kind of sound of my voice, I don't listen to it because I know that we hear it differently because we hear it from inside our head through our bones as well as outside into our ear canal. But it's kind of like emphasis and enunciation, and I tend to overjudge that stuff. So it's probably taking me longer than it needs to. But I appreciate your coaching there. Leslie Bishop, I remember Ron Miscavige used to say that if Ellerich just stopped after diabetics, he could have made a real success of this organization. No SO, no abusive practices. And you are funny. Okay, thank you for that. Yeah, we could have endless discussions about what would have happened if, L. Ron Hubbard would have been hit by a bus and Yvonne Jench would have taken over Scientology because she was a person who genuinely cared about her fellow person and especially artists. But I think ultimately the arc is the arc. The arc of a cult. I always, for some reason, I feel compelled when I hear this kind of stuff to point out Synanon. A lot of you may not know what Synanon was, but if you go to Apple Podcasts and you look up Synanon, there is a podcast that was produced by Robert Downey and his wife's podcast producing company about Synanon, which was a rehab in Southern California on the beach in Los Angeles, very popular. It was like a celebrity darling. I mean, there were people like Leonard Nimoy went there and gave acting lessons, and people that weren't heroin addicts wanted to move in just to share in that lifestyle. They ended up becoming a religion, and then they ended up becoming an armed cult. They ended up putting a snake through the mail slot of a detractor. A bunch of people went to prison. At one time, they made the largest private gun purchase of any entity in the history of California. So it's kind of like this arc that these sort of the culty kind of it's just how it goes. So they're this sort of hindsight look at another possibility is it's just never going to happen. So yeah, I didn't know that Vegan Three says Duggan has 8 kids and Musk is insane. Peaked at Twitter and is giving birth to more crap is beyond insane. Yeah, and that's I didn't know Duggan has 8 kids. I've only seen a couple of them, but yeah, so yeah, there's some pretty nutty billionaires out there. Uh, okay, we're gonna get rid of that one. Okay. Left Food Kitchen says, "Are whales encouraged to invest in each other?" I was looking up one of the Eastern said whales, and I noticed their wedding venue business is co-owned by Tom Cummins. A weird thing for him to invest in. I think there's a natural proclivity for Scientologists to kind of band together on the wealthy business side and, try to help one another and blah, blah, blah. And I think Tom Cummins has so much money that I think anything he invested in would not be weird because it's, he's helping a friend out. But, I don't know if a lot of you guys know who Tom Cummins is. He was in that brochure. He was featured in that brochure a couple of photos ago. He runs a company. I don't remember the name of the company, but basically what they are is they're to Florida what Enron was to California. You remember a little company called Enron, right? What happens is, like in California and in Florida, they deregulate the energy industry, and so then that opens the door for a middleman to come in and buy up units and then sell them at a discount. And there's a lot of little almost quasi illegal dealings that go on in these power markets. And of course, in California, it went really bad because Enron was creating rolling blackouts so they could raise the price of power. It's never good for the public when a utility like electricity becomes a marketplace, for investors. It's the public always hurts. So at some point in Florida, the same thing's going to happen as California. They're going to wise up and they're going to re-regulate that industry, and then Tom Cummins is going to go from making millions of dollars to making zero because his industry is going to disappear. And there's also all the potential for crime. So I've always wondered if Tom Cummins wasn't going to be the next Enron, his company, because they're definitely in that industry. Uh, da, 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 da. Okay, somebody said, okay, hold on. I just want to back up a little bit. I'm sorry here. Uh, okay, Rune Skysting said, there have been a lot of disturbing actions outside of Scientology Hollywood recruiting office. I wonder what the COS is going to do about it, and can they do something about it? Not really. They don't really care. I mean, their own viewpoint is that people are going crazy because they represent a threat to the status quo that is ruining this planet. They are the ones threatening the status quo. So they truly believe when they see all this stuff, us on YouTube, the protests and all of that, they believe that it is evidence of their effectiveness. And there's nothing they can do about it. As long as those people out there are expressing their opinion via their right to protest, then there's nothing they can do about it. Um, Hey, Christian B, thank you for the super chat. I would love to watch a video with you and Tommy. Yeah, it would be yeah, it would be interesting. I mean, because we're a couple of old bald ex heroin addicts, but it would be interesting. I'm sure we have some similar experiences, some very different ones. Maybe I'll reach out to him and see if he wants to do something because I know I had friends who went to prison and some and a lot who died and so forth. But then I was not anyway. I had a very different experience than Tommy. Okay, here's an interesting question. Mr. Green says, Mitch Brisker, what do you believe now? I guess you mean as opposed to Scientology. Um, I believe life is a great mystery and that you have to be willing. I keep quoting this song by Iris DeMent. She gave me permission to excerpt it in my book. It's called Let the Mystery Be. And as everybody, basically if you've never seen it, look it up on YouTube, Iris DeMent, uh, Let the Mystery Be. And it's basically, she left a very abusive religious community. And she's a wonderful traditional American country singer. She wrote the song, and it's kind of an anthem to her believing her religion. And it basically says everybody's worrying about what's going to happen when this whole thing's done. And she's basically saying it's all the same to me. I'll just let the mystery be. There is something to be embraced and enjoyed and celebrated about this great mystery that's life. And there's a lot of organizations like Scientology that will say, oh, no, 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 it doesn't have to be a mystery. We have the answers. And that is step one to screwing you over, because part of the beauty of life is that you're never going to fully understand it. And that's kind of what I believe. And so you just have to, the thing you really need to understand is yourself. And sort of, if anything you can do to increase your own self-awareness. And what else do I believe? That I'll tell you one thing. When I left Scientology, I committed myself to participating in a world that created less harm, whether it's through, the way we treat one another, the way we refer to one another, like you don't draw lines, like you don't make fun of people's body shapes or whether they're tall or short. And there's no line like, if you're on that side of the line and you're an evil cult member, I can make fun of you. But if you're not, because those lines ultimately get moved and people you love or yourself will end up on the wrong side of those lines. So there's some things you have to just not violate if you're going to participate in a world that there's less harm in. And so that's kind of, I believe very strongly in that, in creating a world of less harm. So, and I'm sure there's more, and I could talk about that all day, but let's move on here. Rune Sky Singh says, there have been, okay, we read that one. Okay, so let's move on. This says, you don't, okay, so you don't sound like you're in Sweden. Well, I don't know what that would be. We're going to move on here. We're going to just, Inappropriate Heifer says, Mitch, thank you for saying that about Aaron. I felt torn between two lovers. Wow, that's a pretty extreme way of saying it. But yeah, I know. It's kind of like, for some people, it was kind of like their parents were having a fight. But yeah, no, I don't have anything against him. My dog is going psychotic. I'm going to have to wrap this up soon. Yeah, we've been just almost an hour. Yeah, okay. So you finally caught, Inappropriate Heifer said she finally caught up. Congratulations, because this is going to be over in a minute. Yeah, Catherine says, sorry, but no to Tommy. He doesn't bring anything to the conversation, RE Scientology. Yeah, that's true. But that doesn't mean that I wouldn't like to talk to him. Yeah, so Free Zone Bone Phone says, people like Trish Duggan and Nancy Cartwright should give their money to C.O. Bill instead. Yeah, well, okay. Yeah, oh, hey, Barb Trice is here. Yeah, my first time moderating ever. And yay, no assholes. Yeah. Hey, listen, guys, big shout out to Barb Trice. She contacted me offline and she's never moderated before. And she volunteered. And so thank you so much for doing that. Okay. Anyway, congratulations. It's working great. So Mr. Green said at Mitch Brisker, when you said Teal Swan had male genitalia, what did you mean by that? I never said that. If I may have said, no, I did not say Teal Swan had male genitalia. That's somebody's Tara Green's kind of trolling me in a very funny way. No, I'm sure Teal Swan is 100% female. April in Amsterdam, Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you. Yeah, and Inappropriate Heifer says, thanks, Barb Trust. Protect our man. Yes, our man in Studio City. Okay, so I'm going to handle a couple of these super chats, and I'm going to try to get some more recording done. I'm going to come back later with this psych thing. Christian B, thank you very much for the super chat. I would love to watch a video with you and Tommy. Yeah, we'll see if we can't make that happen. And Jacqueline Leach said, Happy New Year. New Year tip for a secular co-op coffee. I love that. Thank you, Jacqueline. Thank you very much. And listen, thank all of you for coming by. I really appreciate it. Like I said, I'll be back later. I've got an interesting piece to do on psychiatry. I'm going to show a 6-minute film I made for the network. We're going to stop it and look at it, answer questions, break it down. It'll give you a very, very inside look at Hubbard's mindset about psychiatry. And thank you very much if you've subscribed and hit the notification bell. If you haven't, please think about it. And don't forget, you can, there's some wonderful stuff, including autographed copies of my book at my merch store here. I'm going to do a little, you can donate to this channel directly by donating from PayPal at mitchbrisker@gmail.com. And you could help me hold, keep this channel going and hold the Church of Scientology accountable by buying me a coffee, which I really appreciate anybody who does that. So yeah, okay, I want to leave you with this. This is Maria Monroe said, yeah, you don't need to talk about Scientology, just about life experiences sometimes. Yeah, I'm all for that. I actually want to be doing more content about, I did the thing about Charles Manson the other day, nothing to do with Scientology, about my encounter with Charles Manson. And, I realized growing up in Hollywood, I'm so fascinated by the sort of dark side and the criminal side and all the amazing things that were in my environment growing up that I heard about. So I am actually gonna be starting to doing some content on that. I was thinking about yeah, mods, please send. I got it from Christian B. Yeah, mods, please send Mitch a copy link, please. Yeah, I think you could get into my links. I'm not sure how that works. I'll check that out. Diane, we'll see how that works. Yeah, I know. This is why I wrote a book, because the first 3 chapters of my book are not about, they were before Scientology, and it was pretty amazing. So listen, everybody, if you're celebrating right now, please where is that comment? Oh, there it is right there. Buy me a coffee. Okay, so if you're celebrating right now, stay safe. And I'll be back in a little bit with some more cool stuff. And now we're just going to say hi to my dog, who is going completely psychotic, and I got to get him outside. So love you all, in the YouTube way, not for real, in that way, that the appreciative way, right? It feels a little culty to me. I'm sorry when I say, hey, thank you, I love you all for sure. It just feels kind of love bomby. So let me just say, I really appreciate you guys coming up and letting me, sort of helping me rebuild my story, because by doing that, I've been able to regain my identity, and it has really helped me so much. I can't even tell you. So let's say hi to Weston. I got to go handle him, and I'll see you guys all in a week.